Hello, good day. This is a Delicious Media special edition, Just Delicious. And in this installment, just wanted to talk to some of the younger voters out there or undecided voters out there that maybe just don't feel informed enough on the issues, the big issues in this election. And so the overall main message is that, especially if you're younger or have never really been into politics, no one can be an expert on everything. I'm not an expert on everything. I have a podcast where I talk about politics, a little wine, a little time. You can find it on the Delicious Media YouTube channel, where I, research and put together podcasts. So no one can fully understand every issue. Economics, I'm not an economist. I know enough to make informed decisions and know that Kamala Harris, her policies will be much better for the economy than Donald Trump's insane tariff idea that will cause inflation to skyrocket. I know enough about it. It's actually not that complicated to understand. But what I'm going to do in this episode is give you some sources. Make sure you do subscribe to my YouTube channel at D-Licious 2763 is the handle, D-Licious 2763. Releasing this on my personal TikTok too, at Derek Vera, at DERRICKVARA. But what I'm going to do is run down some sources. And if you listen to my podcast, A Little Wine, A Little Time, leading up to the election, if you can only listen to one, I want you to find the one called Who Aligns with Who, where I go through the KKK website and other examples of MAGA type folks and Trump associating with literal Nazis. And if you going through the KKK website, it was just so eye-opening. Right-wing media, like mainstream right-wing media, like Fox News, Newsmax, and basically all the talking points you hear from any right-wing media and right-wing folks all over the internet, it aligns. It's almost verbatim what you can read on the KKK website. So that's very enlightening. So if you listen to one of my podcasts leading up to the election, listen to that one. But I wanted to give you some other sources that are good podcasts that are, of course, well-researched. Everyone there knows what they're talking about. They've got great expert guests. And that's one thing we need to do when we don't understand an issue. Listen to experts. Economists are out there saying, Trump's plan will wreck our economy. And they support Kamala's plan for the economy. Just like in a pandemic, listen to experts, not random dudes on the internet with no qualifications who just have a really nice desk and bookshelf behind them. Like, who are you? How about we listen to the guy that almost basically eradicated AIDS, as opposed to some guy with a nice desk and bookshelf who the hell knows who he is. All right, so a couple podcasts that I really like and find really informative and are part of my regular media diet. And that's what it is. Like, consuming media, it's a mental diet. Like, you've got to, just like I mentioned earlier, understanding that what you hear from right-wing media is the same thing you're going to hear from neo-Nazi groups and the literal Klan. It was eye-opening. So I'd love if you check out that episode. But podcast one that I'd like to recommend, The Bulwark, 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 BULWARK. It's a centrist podcast. Most of the hosts are right of center, so they're not lefties. They're longtime Republicans. And then they have like left of center folks on as well. So it's very centrist. It's not a radical left podcast. It's a centrist view. I might be a little more left than some of them, and centrist in other ways, but it's a centrist. So that's a good place to start if you're just trying to get a baseline understanding of politics. They do a focus group show, and it's one thing that really bothers me is some of these, when they focus group people, they ask them questions, and a lot of people just have really strong opinions that are based on nothing. It's just thoughts that they have in their head. Like, what do you think about this? Well, I think this, and this. But why do you think that? It's not based on anything. It's just a thought. And that's not a good opinion. It's an opinion, but it's not based on understanding an issue. It's just a random opinion. So that's something we got to avoid. If we have an opinion on something, it should have some basis to it. Then another podcast, just search Leeja Miller. It's Leeja Miller, Miller. Leeja is a lawyer, and her podcast is incredibly well researched and well done. She's kind of got dry sense of humor too, so she can be a little funny, but it's really informative, really in depth, really well done on all the issues. So we can't always have time in our lives to research every single issue as much as we should. So let's listen to the people who are really smart, maybe been to law school like Leeja, and takes the time to really research things and puts together a great podcast. And then the third I wanted to tell you about is one I found recently and I love. It's called Hysteria. They do a couple different podcast series, but the YouTube handle is Hysteria, Hysteria, and you can search in YouTube Hysteria podcast. It's funny, it's informative, it's really well done. It really puts a lot of things in perspective. So that's a source, and it's entertaining. You can get more informed on things while being entertained. Who doesn't want that? And so yeah, sources. We've got to learn to evaluate sources. I've done different things in media, from doing podcasts. Like a lot of my background was in music and comedy podcasts, but still I did research. I practiced researching the bands and researched a lot of topics that we talked about on the show. And like, research is a practice. So when there's all the QAnon folks out there saying, do your research, and then they'll never show you their research, they're just repeating something they heard somewhere from random nonsense. It's just random nonsense. Like, when you really pick a lot of it apart and you like think about it, it's like, it doesn't make any sense. So when people say do your research, ask them for their research, and actually do your research and find sources that do their research, maybe in a way that's more in depth than you have the time to do in our busy lives. And yeah, just know that you can't know everything. So it's good to listen to experts and quality sources. And if a source like Fox, Newsmax, or other right-wing sources literally sound exactly like the KKK website, you might want to take that in consideration when you're evaluating them. So yeah, we got this. Find your resources, know your resources. I had something else I wanted to get to. But yeah, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just find good sources, trust credible sources, and fill in the blanks from there, because we've got to make a really good choice going forward. Make a plan to vote, talk to your friends, make sure they have a plan to vote, and, share quality sources with other people. Oh, MSNBC. So right-wing media will call a source like MSNBC radical leftist media, blah, 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 Marxist, blah, 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 blah. MSNBC is not radical left. It's centrist. There's hosts that have been longtime Republicans, and there's a mix. And like, people love to talk about Rachel Maddow. She's only one host, and she knows her stuff. She knows history. Like, she knows like crazy stuff about history. She's like a history buff. And there's other great hosts on there like Lawrence O'Donnell. He knows his stuff. He can explain the tariff thing to you really well. Look for some of his episodes where he's really picked it. It's not actually that complicated to understand how dumb an idea it is. But, we're all versed in different subjects. So, like I said, I'm not an economist, so I listen to people that know more about economics. And then I learn. And there's Stephanie Rule. She used to be in banking and finance of some sort. Has a great show, has lots of great experts, and has great discussions. I'm missing Alex Wagner. She's great. And they're all really good at talking through issues. They've got on great expert guests all the time. They have great in-depth conversations about things. They ask good questions. They get to good answers. So when somebody tells you it's radical leftist media, it's actually kind of centrist, like just like the Bulwark. Like, there's hosts that are to the right, hosts that are maybe to the left, but they take journalism seriously, and they're just quality journalists. So unlike Fox News, where it's just propaganda, we'll get into Roger Ailes. We're too close to the election to get fully in depth on Roger Ailes right now, but Roger Ailes should be a household name in our country and what he did to our politics. He's who created Fox News. Basically, was a fan of Nazi propaganda, and it basically made it into literally a Nazi propaganda machine, mass media pumping into millions of homes every night. So you got all these people all over the internet regurgitating literal things like Hitler and the Nazis said. And Trump's saying it too. Vermin poisoning the blood. If you've not studied World War II history, in depth, like I was a nerd. I used to watch the History Channel nonstop when they showed a ton of World War II stuff. So familiar with the language. And I've always kind of been in the politics, used to in high school watch C-SPAN while I was going to bed. And not everyone is that kind of a nerd, but C-SPAN should be free to everyone. But okay, I'm starting to ramble. But sources, learn how to evaluate sources. That's the most important thing. And good sources will make you smarter and more informed. And we're never going to be fully informed on everything. There's just too much to know. But anyone that, like Trump, who pretends to understand everything and know everything, he's just a liar. He doesn't understand. He's just been a lucky, I don't want to say blessed, but he won the birth lottery. He's had a lot of breaks, and he doesn't really understand economics. His foreign policy is dangerous. If Gaza is your issue, Trump's not going to make any better. And him getting out of the Iran deal, I wish I had time to go into that fully in depth. That Iran deal, if he would not have got out of the Iran deal, I don't think we'd be seeing what we're seeing in Israel and Gaza in the Middle East. Okay, it's getting a little long, a little rambly, so I hope you got something out of it. If you did, hopefully maybe you'll share it with some friends as well that maybe are trying to figure it all out as well, and check out those sources I provided. All right, D-Licious Media, special edition, Just D-Licious, YouTube at D-Licious 2763, and my personal TikTok at Derek Vera. All right, have a great day. Let's go. Let's go, Kamala. Yes, we can. It takes a village. Peace.